Hank Aaron, we're hearing so much about white supremacy and white supremacists, and Babe Ruth being a white man who was atop the all-time home run list in baseball, and here comes a man of color to break it. And the number of people who couldn't handle that. And how I grew up thinking to myself how wild that was, that people were rooting against Hank Aaron for hitting a home run. It just did not compute to me. Growing up in Staten Island, New York, with parents who instilled in me love for all humans, regardless of race, color, or creed, and religion, and whatever. As a young kid, I couldn't fathom it. And now we see, as Bob pointing out, white supremacy everywhere in our country out from under the shadows in 2021, and that things have not changed very much. Maybe people, who are storming the Capitol or are insurrectionists or baseball fans or fans of sport and don't look at people or root for them about color or anything like that, but that might be way too rosy-colored glasses. And maybe we should pause and remember Hank Aaron for what he did and what he overcame and how he never forgot it. And how we can't give up in this fight where there are too many people in this world who are trying to make things about race when it should be about the human race. Stick to sports, my ass, honestly, in this day and age. You can look at so many of the African-American players who came after Jackie Robinson and what they did and what they became and who they were on the field. I mean, you cannot forget where Hank Aaron was playing his ball. Milwaukee to start, and then the Deep South. Just as the post-Jim Crow era that we're still seeing too much of in our country was just starting off. And don't forget, again, Hank Aaron, we see the footage of him going around the bases on that night after Al Downing gave up the home run that, fascinatingly enough, the left fielder who scaled the wall in Fulton County Stadium to try and bring that ball back, but it wasn't coming back, was Bill Buckner.
It was Bill Buckner, yeah.
Bill Buckner was the left fielder of the Dodgers on that day.
Yeah.
And, we just see that footage, and what a moment. Crowning achievement, whatever. But the situation on the ground, is Hank Aaron hit his 713th home run at the end of the 1973 season. Season is over. So everyone knew that in the 1974 season, down goes the Bambino. Bambino's going down. And that's when things began to percolate. It wasn't like, okay, he's closing in on 7/14 in the middle of July, right? In the middle of a season, and it's going down, and day in and day out you're playing baseball. There was no baseball going on as it was beginning to build and build and build. According to all reports, and Hank Aaron confirmed it, he received in that offseason 930,000 pieces of mail. Oh. Almost 1 million missives were sent his way.
3,000 a day at one point I read.
3,000 a day. And a lot of it wasn't very nice. Racist, awful screed.
Vile. I reposted some of them on my Twitter page, and I'm sitting here kind of wishing I hadn't read them because it's making me feel a certain way right now. But that man had to deal with all of that throughout the offseason, like you said, and then during games, he's being threatened. People are telling them that they're going to go from this park to this park to this park to follow him, and he's not going to make out alive. Hank Aaron would have to stay in separate hotels from his teammates because of the threats. He'd have to have a bodyguard, an FBI agent at points, stay with him. So he was in isolation a lot of this time because he couldn't be with his team. And
then could you imagine? I mean, in terms of if you want to see how his demeanor in the face of this hatred and how special it was, wouldn't you, if you have all of that, all those threats, and people are coming out of the stands as you're circling the bases, wouldn't you have just flattened them? Like literally cold-cocked one of them?
I mean, yeah.
Wouldn't you like literally like okay. So I'm rounded second.
And here come two kids out of the.
Well, some of them, there were some grown-ass men.
Two men, like they
you
were,
know what I mean?
early. They were
like,
early
so
20s.
Wouldn't you like?
Now, luckily, those guys had nothing but the best intentions.
Them up.
They just wanted to dap him up.
They just wanted, and I've heard that they've even maybe had a relationship with him later on. But yeah, like you don't know what you've been threatened. Your life has been threatened all this time, and then someone's coming up behind you.
That would be terrifying,
horrifying.
He rounded the bases, got home, and then there's media. I mean,
well, Craig Sager followed him down the third baseline.
Unbelievable.
With his tape recorder.
Unbelievable. What a story to tell children and grandchildren and forevermore. And the problem is for kids today, we can show them the hatred that we're still seeing.
Absolutely.
Real-time garbage. Trash. Real time.
Decades later, and it seems like nothing's changed.
Exactly. And the concept of this is not us, this is not us. Well, guess what? It is us. Maybe not you and I, but we still consider this a union to be made more perfect. Didn't think I'd be talking about this stuff today, but the passing of Henry Aaron has brought it out, and it's worthy of the conversation, which we will always have on this show if it's necessary to be had, and it is. And I think that we pay a respect to Henry Aaron to have a conversation like this on a day like today. His passing.